Hi, Amanda Decker here, nurse practitioner at DMA Weight and Wellness, and I'm here today to talk about a product called Golo. So I get asked all the time about over-the-counter products and if they're good for weight loss, whether it's something from Ally to the next fat burner pill, seems to be something that I get asked about a lot. And one of those products is this Golo, and it's been out for a while, and I've just kind of brushed it off and not really put much thought into it. But I decided, okay, if people are going to ask me about it, I need to read up and do my due diligence. So I did. I bought a package of Golo. It's an over-the-counter supplement. When it comes in a package, it comes in a nice little box. You can buy 1 month at a time, 3 months at a time. It comes in a nice package, all secure, that kind of thing. The bottle comes with 90 pills in one, and just so you can see about the size of the capsule of this Golo, it's pretty small. I would say about the size of my thumbnail there. Also inside the package, you have a Golo for Life plan, and it's a booklet that kind of walks you through their ideas for weight loss, what the actual weight loss phase should look like, what maintenance looks like. It has some just tidbits about dieting, lifestyle, things of that nature. Comes with a quick reference card because they do give you an eating plan that they recommend that you go along with. And then it also has a handout or something I would equate to about like a package insert that comes with a prescription medicine. This one's a supplement, so they tell you about the supplement and tell you what all is in the supplement. So let's review basically what the idea is behind Golo. So their basic plan is to focus on whole foods. So it's great. They're starting off right up my alley. They say focus on whole foods and then you take a supplement. So that's the gist of it. They say the secret to weight loss is managing glucose and insulin while sustaining a healthy caloric deficit. Okay, I can buy along with that. That's essentially what our plan is we manage glucose and insulin while sustaining a calorie deficit, even though we teach in a way where you don't have to count calories. The calorie deficit kind of happens naturally. They do say that eating a healthy, balanced meal, I'm putting that in my own quotation marks, to maintain normal blood sugar levels and eliminating snacking. So that's something that they say to do. How often do you have to take this supplement? They say if you have over 10 to 20 pounds to lose, you need to take one supplement 3 times a day with each of your meals. So that's one supplement 3 times a day. Let's talk about what's in the pill. So, because that's what I would think the bulk of the weight loss would come from if you're going to take it. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different things in this pill. The ones that I think stand out the most are berberine, and berberine is something we've recommended to many of our clients. It mimics similar, or it acts similar to what metformin does, which is a diabetes medicine that makes you more insulin sensitive, and it can be used on its own. It is in this supplement. There's also gardenia, which is a stimulant similar to caffeine. That's in this pill. Chromium, which also helps with insulin sensitivity and kind of boost the metabolism. Magnesium, zinc, basically those are the main ones that I see for weight loss. It does have some apple fruit extract, which is supposed to help with stress reduction, not stress as in like mental, physical stress. It's more like physical stress, the stress on the cells. So nothing overall special in their supplement, all things that I've seen either like in our McB shots or in other weight loss supplements. Some of them we recommend, some of them we don't. So let's talk about the meal that they want you to do. You have this handy little card, and they say to create a balanced meal for each of your meals, you need to pick 2 proteins, and all of their proteins are things like lean meat or fish, eggs, cheese, yogurt, tofu, nuts. They also list quinoa and beans as a protein source for those people that are vegan. Your protein, if you were to follow this, is going to get you anywhere between 20 to 50-ish grams of protein, depending on which one that you pick. Like if you do 6 ounces of fish, that's actually pretty high in protein. Then they tell you to pick 1 carbohydrate, and they identify carbohydrates as any fruit, all potatoes, pasta, breads, rice, oatmeals. That is going to give you around 20 to 25 grams of carbohydrate just in that one choice. Then they also say to pick 2 vegetables. So they equate vegetables as not being carbohydrates, even though they are carbohydrates. But you're supposed to pick one, and that is all vegetables other than potatoes And it does include things like corn. They put avocado in the vegetable section or in the healthy fat section. So your added vegetables is going to give you another 15 to 25 grams of carbs. And then they tell you to pick one healthy fat, which is like butter, olive oil, avocado, olives, things of that nature. So altogether, if you follow their plan, you're going to have a moderate protein, a lean but moderate protein, and then it is reduced carbohydrate compared to what the average American consumes. It's high compared to what we recommend at our clinic, but it's going to get you anywhere between 35 and 50 grams of carbs per meal, not per day, per meal is what that is. They also allow you to have a bonus protein or a bonus carbohydrate, and that's on the back side of this. They have several different conditions where you can add an extra serving. So if you are under the age of 35, you get a bonus. If you are male, you get a bonus. If you live a moderately active life, you get a bonus. If you're extremely physically active or have a hard labor job, think like bricklayer, you get 2 more bonuses. And if you do 30 minutes of exercise, you get a bonus. So in addition to the choices per meal, you can get a bonus that is on there. So basically, when I look at their plan, it is a very low-fat diet with mild to moderate carbohydrate reduction. What they get right, because they do get some things right in this plan, and I guess this gets right according to Amanda kind of things. They encourage more whole foods. I think everybody in this world should eat more whole foods and less things out of packages. They say to remove snacking. They say if you get a good balanced meal that you don't need snacking. They make a point, and in this first page on this book, I don't know if you can see it, it says the truth about dieting, and I did underline some things, but they underlined and brought out that diets don't work, and I totally agree with that. You cannot go into a weight loss journey thinking you're going to diet. Diets are a temporary thing you do for a short outcome, and then you go back to what you're doing. You have to make a lifestyle change. You have to do this forever, and I think they've done some really good with their branding by calling it Golo for life, because you really do have to make these changes for life in order to sustain the weight loss. They also have a slight increased protein. So compared to the average American diet, when you're just kind of surveying the general public out there, if you get anywhere between 15 to 50 grams per meal, you're probably consuming more protein than the average American's getting right now. They do really drive home about you have to think about what you're putting in your body. They want you to plan ahead, and I think that's very important. They get that right. And the other thing they get right is support, and that's something we realized here at DMA Weight and Wellness as well, is you have to have the support if you're going to maintain any lifestyle change. They have an online community. They have places where you can ask questions, where you can get little check-ins, things like that, and then just lots of resources online. Now let's talk about what I think they got wrong, because I think they got some wrong things too. They actually state somewhere in their lovely book here, I think maybe even on the part where they're talking about the truth about dieting and the longevity of weight loss, that a diet low in carbs are not sustainable. They say if you're removing any food group, it's not sustainable. And one, I don't completely remove carbs, but I'm living proof that it's sustainable. I've been doing this for 12 years, and I have many clients and I have many colleagues that have been doing this for many, many years. It is sustainable if you make it a lifestyle that you're doing. They also point out balanced meals are important. And when they're talking about balanced meals, they're saying not just protein, fat, carbohydrate, but they throw another group in there called vegetables. So they're separating the vegetables from what they call carbohydrates, which actually makes it a fairly moderate carb diet for a lot of people. But I think for some, especially those that struggle with food addiction or binge eating disorder, or that are highly triggered by carbohydrates, leaving this much wiggle room can often give them reasons to fall off the wagon. It's kind of like, if you give me an inch and you give me a taste and you let me have this, I'm going to go more. So I think that's something that is a slippery slope. Not necessarily something they got wrong, but it's definitely a slippery slope. They say whole foods are the way, the key, but in the back of their book, they have a whole section on going plant-based. And in that, they're completely removing the food groups of meat. So it's like on one side they say removing carbs is a bad thing, that's not sustainable, but then they say, oh, you can go plant-based and remove all meats and that's sustainable. So it kind of tells me the heart of where they're coming from, and that they're not quite focusing just on nutrition science, but also personal beliefs to some extent. Personally, if I was to have to remove meat from my diet, that would not be sustainable for me long term. While I think plant-based can be a healthy diet for a lot of people and cleaner as long as you're getting rid of those packages and focus on whole foods, absolutely. I just it just seems like they're contradicting themselves in some ways. Let's see. Also, by removing that red meat, they are removing the most nutrient-dense food on this planet. So your red meat actually contains your most nutrients and is the most bioavailable form of nutrients for the body, hands down. So that concerns me because those things control our hunger, which if you want to maintain weight loss, you have to focus on controlling hunger the whole time. I do not agree with trading out the veggies and the carbs. And I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to allow you to still have some bread and some oatmeal and things like that. And honestly, I think in maintenance, some people can do that, but in acute weight loss, I mean, a carb is a carb is a carb. Your body breaks it down the same. It doesn't matter if it is lettuce, if it is green beans, if it's kale, if it is wheat. Your body breaks it down to the same sugars in there. So I just think it's a flawed theory that by using carbs and vegetables separate. Now, they're completely different. A vegetable, as in a green bean or asparagus, is completely different when you're talking about inflammation, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how it breaks down into sugar in the body. That is the same. They also said that eating that balanced meal was important for controlling blood sugars, thus you could eliminate snacks. But then on the very next page, when they're talking about that bonus thing, they're saying if you go over 6 hours without eating, that you should add a bonus meal and have a snack at that point. And I was like, hold up. Fasting is one of the best tools for weight loss, and spending more time in that fasted state lowers your insulin better than anything that you can eat. There are people who follow high carb diets but fast for a long amount of times and lower their insulin and control their weight that way. So that it's just, they're contradicting themselves. They're saying eat good meals, get good protein, sustain the sugar, sustain the insulin in a steady state to where you're not going to have to eat rapidly and eat the snacks. Oh, but if it's been 6 hours, then you should snack. No, that's just backwards. That's just backwards. All right. So my overall thoughts. My first thought is there's nothing overly special. Is there anything wrong with this product? Absolutely not. There's actually things in there that I have recommended individually for weight loss. So if you want to try the supplement, there's absolutely no reason why you can't. It's going to work for you or it's not going to work for you. And like all my things with supplements, if you try it for a bottle, if you try one bottle in 30 days and it doesn't make any difference, then don't do it anymore. But there's nothing in there that's going to harm you unless you have an allergic reaction or some other contraindication to doing it. However, my general opinion is when there's nothing special in here and there's nothing uniquely special in here, when you are investing your time into paying attention to what's going into your body and you're planning out your meals and you're taking the time to stop and take a pill before every single meal, you're generally going to see results in lose weight because you're putting your efforts, you're putting your time and your efforts there, and then that's where you're going to see your results, as opposed to just eating the standard American diet. This nutrition plan, even with the intake of carbohydrates, breads, starch, things like that, is still better than 80% of what Americans are eating. It is still better than most of the processed junk food that Americans are eating. So that first step, if you're not ready to maybe go all the way low carb, maybe this is a great first step. It is reducing the carbs. It is moving you in that right direction. I hate the demonization of red meat. I think that was totally wrong. I wish they had not done that. I think they allow for too many slippery slopes for people with food addictions, and by and large, we see a lot of food addiction and binge eating disorder here in America, leaving some potential for trigger foods in there is, I just think, dangerous. And then the last part, this is my big one. Who's going to remember to take something 3 times a day before they eat? And yeah, I said, I bought this, I tried it. So for 2 weeks, I was really faithful and tried to get it in. I didn't have over 20 pounds of weight to lose, so I was only doing it 1 to 2 times a day. I, for the life of me, could not remember to take this. I set alarms, I wrote sticky notes. If I would have had to take this 3 times a day, if my life would have depended on it, it just really, I would have failed. So I did not include grains when I did their trial. And like I said, I really did try, and I gave it 2 weeks before I just gave up. I was doing this 1 to 2 times. I was following along with their food and things. I did not include grains, and that's because it's my inflammatory condition that I have. I was not going to test those waters. What I did allow that is not part of my regular everyday low carb life is I brought back a little bit of fruit. So I think I had an apple with some meals. I had berries with some meals. I didn't do watermelons or grapes, any of the higher sugars, but I did add back a little bit of fruit that I wasn't doing as much of on my day-to-day basis. So I did probably 30 carbs. So I would do 15 on their one pick, 15 on the veggies. I didn't. I did 5. I was probably doing 20 total carbs per meal. What I noticed is, one, I wasn't consistent with the pill, and 2, I started gaining weight 2 weeks in when I started including carbs. And that's because I found the lifestyle that works for me. Now, had I had done this plan when I first started working on my weight, when I was in the obese category and had 40, 45-ish somewhere pounds to lose, I probably would have started losing weight on this plan. But right now, me going back into it, I gained weight when I started adding carbs back. So overall, it's not a bad product. It's fairly clean. The supplements in it, the herbs and the minerals that are in it, are completely fine to take and try unless you know you have a contraindication to it. If you are already doing low carb and have been very successful, or have been very successful to this point, I don't know that I would follow their nutrition advice. It might be okay during maintenance, but definitely not in acute weight loss zone. I don't think there's anything special to it. I would rather you take your money and invest it in better whole foods on a day in and day out basis, as opposed to the supplement. I think you'll get better benefits just from investing in better quality foods. All right. I hope this has been helpful. I've got a couple other supplements in mind that I'm going to try out and give you my honest opinion on, especially since we're in a world of, there's 10 million products, and what do you take? I hope it's been helpful. Take care.